Hey guys, so I'm back with another video for you. Back from not going very far. I'm still on the couch, same spot I was just in. Our next video is going to be a little shorter, and it's going to end in a video from Sarah. Exciting! Wednesday, September 22nd at 9:05 p.m. I'm stuck in my room where I just watched the last tiny speck of light from the sun disappear. Summer is fading fast. It used to stay light until almost 10 out here. Not anymore. Mom came home at 6 and made me dinner. It wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, but then again, it's hard to mess up when you're making spaghetti and the sauce is out of a jar. We sat together at the kitchen table and waited for Dad and Henry to come home. "They're not coming back for dinner, are they?" Mom asked me. She was twirling a fork full of pasta. I wouldn't count on it. Without Henry around, it was quieter. I'm beginning to think I prefer quiet. It's a lot of work holding up my end of the conversation. Mom and I mostly sat in silence, which was okay. We talked about what I'd done all day, and I told her I spent most of it at the cafe, writing and drawing. "That sounds nice." "It felt good to be out of the house," I said. "I think I'm ready to get back to school. This town is awfully dull during the day with no one around." Mom smiled. I was glad to make her think I wanted to go back to school like a normal kid, even if I wasn't too sure about it myself. There's going to be a lot of questions about the accident, what I've been doing. I could live without all the attention. Dad and Henry finally stumbled in around 8 p.m., arguing about who caught the bigger fish and smelling like two guys who hadn't taken a shower in about a month. "We're starved. What's cooking?" asked Henry. "Whatever was cooking is gone," Mom replied. "You're on your own." Henry and my dad looked at each other, shrugged their shoulders, and went straight for the Bisquick. So Bisquick is what you use to make pancakes. "What is it with you two and pancakes?" asked my mom. They didn't answer. Two old friends in the kitchen making the easiest of all foods. I envied them their time together like never before. "I was out a lot today and I'm tired," I said. I didn't mean for it to sound like I was irritated, especially with Henry leaving and all, but I think it was obvious I saw them as a little club no one else was invited into. "Sure you don't want a cake or two?" Henry said. "I could tell you about how I caught 10 times more fish than your dad did." "I thought you had to go visit Gerald down the road," Dad said. Henry nodded, but then said, "Gerald can wait a while. He'll be up late. Always is." Gerald is another old friend of Henry's. He lives in the next town over, a town that has the distinction of having been the very last place in America to get phone service. It's even more of a dead end than Skeleton Creek. Gerald is quite a bit older and can't go fishing anymore, but Henry always visits him at least once on every trip out from New York. The fishing had been so good for 2 weeks he put it off until the last minute. Henry did a little more begging and Dad nodded, like he wanted to spend some time with me. So I sat with him on the porch for almost an hour, acting more and more tired as the minutes passed until Henry jumped out of his chair so he could drive the 10 miles down to Gerald's place. I was sure my mom used the time I was on the porch to check my computer and my phone. At least I could turn in early and they wouldn't have any reason to bother me. I came up here a little while ago, right before the sun started setting, and right at 9 I checked my email. Nothing. I checked again at 9:01, and there it was, a note from Sarah. It was cool to think she was sitting at her computer and me at mine, and somehow in those 60 seconds we'd made a connection. She clicked send, I refreshed my screen, and there was the note. It was sort of like magic, and I missed her more than ever. "I'm so glad you stayed at the cafe. Who knows what would have happened right under our noses if not for you. This is it, Ryan. Something really big is happening tonight, and we're going to see it. I'm sure I can get into the Watts place while the meeting is going on. My parents, believe it or not, are out on a date. They should be back in about a half hour. I'll see them when they come home so they think everything is all normal. If all goes well, they'll be asleep by 11 and I'll go straight to Longhorn's, then to Dr. Watts' house. Watts has to be hiding something, and this is our best chance to find out what. He can't be 2 places at once, so we know he'll be out of his house. I just hope I can get inside." The tape and the camera at Longhorn's Grange will run for about 90 minutes. Hopefully that'll be long enough to catch the entire meeting. I'll start it as close to midnight as possible. Okay. Best part of all, I'll broadcast everything live for you. I can't go live at the Crossbones meeting, but I can use my other camera, the one we used to broadcast live in the Dredge, to send you a feed. Go to the site at 11:30 p.m. if you can. That's when I'll start broadcasting off and on. Just be sure no one else is watching. To get into the feed, go to my site and use the password Mary Shelley. Scared but excited. This is going to be incredible, Sarah. I'm scared for her. I mean, really scared. I'm not sure we should do this. Wednesday, September 22nd, 11:10 p.m. I'm really close to bailing out. This is starting to remind me of the night I left for the dredge and ended up trapped inside the secret room. I hate the way this feels, like I have no control over things. All I can do is watch while my best friend breaks into 2 places in one night. And what if she gets caught? It's not hard to imagine an alarm on Dr. Watts' door going off, or her getting trapped in the basement at Longhorn's Grange. One of those things could easily happen. How will people do anything but sit here and watch it happen? I picked up my copy of Frankenstein and started reading it to pass the time. I'm amazed at how much I underlined and took notes in this old paperback. The margins are filled with little questions and comments. I've dog-eared about 30 of the pages. I went back through page by page and read some of what I'd underlined and noted. So Sarah's password for the next video is Mary Shelley. And Mary Shelley is the author of Frankenstein. She wrote it when she was like 15. Could you imagine that? Writing a whole novel by the time you were 15? None but those who've experienced them can conceive of the enticements of science. This struck me as very interesting, having just spent all day reading about Newton, Hooke, and Boyle. I shunned my fellow creatures as if I were guilty of a crime. I can relate, Dr. Frankenstein. 2 years after making the monster, Frankenstein discovers it has killed his brother. This is when the doctor starts to really go nuts. In the margin I wrote, had he never considered what the creature might do? Darn good question, if I do say so myself. Later, referring to Dr. Frankenstein's character, I scribbled in the margin, it sounds as though he's convinced justice will prevail. So, in the story of Frankenstein, a mad scientist creates a person and brings him to life, but this person is different, and he accidentally kills people. So that's what he's talking about. It's questionable whether or not Dr. Frankenstein was right about that. I wrote all over this book in hundreds of different places, like the story and the questions it raised in my mind were too big for the pages to hold. These are just a few of my scribbles in the margins. What did he tell them? He has set his course on doom and power. Was he never afraid? The monster is innocent because he has no remorse. The apple and the angel. Abandoned, alone. What's that noise? When I look at the margin notes, I can see why some people might wonder about me. Maybe my parents are worried I'll grow up to be a reclusive weirdo who can't be in a room full of people without having his nose in a book or journal to write things down in. And the strangest thing, I have no memory of writing these things. Maybe I did at night, asleep, instead of trashing the walls of my room. It's 11:30 p.m., time to go online. And that means we're at our next Sarah Fincher video. Alright guys, see you after you watch.